All right, Steve, Trump has had another meltdown after he has completely betrayed his own nominee and a former administration official. Nick and Steve here from the vocal minority for Really American Media.
Thank you, Nick. It's good to see you on the internet. Okay, so get this, everybody. The Trump administration abruptly withdrew the nomination of Kathleen Skama as director of the Bureau of Land Management right before she was going to testify today in front of the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee. And Nick, I know that's your favorite committee. And this is a woman, by the way, who's like a wet oil dream come true for Trump. She was all about drill, baby, drill. And that would be a big part of the gig. She's supposed to be freeing up lands to be drilled like Stormy Daniels in a hotel room, if you know what I mean. And Nick, I think you do.
That is well put, Steve. If anything, dude, this is the kind of person you would think that Trump would get behind and champion big time on. She's big time into deregulation, big on oil and gas, and fiercely pro-industry. But here's the thing. The crux is this. She once criticized January 6th attacks in a memo to oil executives. She called it despicable. She said he was dishonoring the vote of the people. She said Trump bore responsibility for the violence that day, and that's all it took. Suddenly, she's out, disqualified, not because she's unqualified, but because she told the truth.
Right, which is funny considering Trump doesn't mind nominating people like RFK Jr. or Dr. Oz that are completely unqualified. Or, I don't know, Nick, someone like Pete Hegseth, who's been accused of adultery, not to mention a little casual sexual assault.
And then that's when she believed that there was some sort of a drug that was slipped into her drink because it became fuzzy from there. But she said that she remembered going back to a hotel room with Hegseth in which they engaged in sexual intercourse and that it was not consensual and that she had repeatedly said that she did not want to engage.
So Trump is obviously cool with adultery and sexual assault because, hey, they're some of his favorite hobbies. But if Trump won't work with someone like Kathleen Skama that has expressed dissent in the past, Nick, riddle me this. How did JD Vance end up as the vice president? He famously called Trump America's Hitler and said he's a never Trump guy, a never Trump guy.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
So this is really who Donald Trump chose as his running mate?
Drop the beat.
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. 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 I never liked him.
Trump is as consistent as the stock market during a global trade war, a fake one apparently, which is to say he's not consistent at all. Not that I had to explain that to you, Nick.
Completely, which brings us to the case of Miles Taylor, Steve. This guy, a former Department of Homeland Security official in Donnie's first administration, and Trump has ordered the DOJ to investigate him, even though Trump can barely remember who in the hell he is.
And I had no idea who this guy was. I had no idea. I barely remember him. I said, who the hell is Miles Taylor? I barely remember him.
So which is it, dude? Do you not remember him or do you barely remember him? You sort of sound like someone with dementia, Donnie. But hey, I'm not a doctor of that sort anyway, if you know what I mean. I thought Trump only hired the best people, but apparently the best people aren't very memorable. So anyway, Miles Taylor, he wrote an anonymous book a few years ago criticizing Trump and calling himself part of the resistance to Trump, just like Steve and I. But toddler Trump got his snowflake feelings hurt over the whole thing.
It's time to find out whether or not somebody can do that. Can they write a book? We're going to find out whether or not somebody's allowed to do that. I think it's a very important case, and I think he's guilty of treason, if you want to know the truth. But we'll find out. And I assume we're recommending this to the Department of Justice.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, Nikki, just a reminder, treason is punishable by death and is only applicable if we're at war. But in fairness, Trump does seem to be at war with the Constitution. And he also attacks comedians like Stephen Colbert and Saturday Night Live, literally threatening them with jail time because they're comedians. If you joke about Trump, suddenly you're the enemy. You're un-American. You're low IQ. You're low ratings. You're not funny. Take your pick. Didn't someone in Trump's world recently criticize the idea of canceling comedy.
The left wanted to make comedy illegal, you know? Like, you can't make fun of anything. So then it was like, comedy sucks. It's like, nothing's funny. You can't make fun of anything. It's like, legalize comedy. Yeah. Legalize comedy.
Dude, I love that clip so much. The president's first lady, Elon Musk, he wants to legalize comedy, which is cool, but somehow the only comedy that gets a pass is the kind that flatters people like Trump. If you punch up, if you challenge power, that's not comedy, that's cancel culture. And let's not forget, Trump has publicly mentioned many times that he wants to change parts of the Constitution, not just reform or reinterpret, he wants to change it, Steve.
Yeah. Trump looks at the Constitution like a Vegas buffet. Take what you want, leave the rest. He's a big fan of the Second Amendment, pew, pew, pew. But not the first one, freedom of speech, freedom of the press. In the past, he has called for the suspension of the Constitution, but only when it fits his little dictator-style whims.
As president, I have no higher duty than to defend the laws and the Constitution of the United States. We will support, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. We believe in the American Constitution, and we believe in the rule of law. I stand before you today on the heels of a tremendous victory for our nation, our people, and our beloved Constitution.
And then on Saturday, seemingly out of nowhere, called for the suspension of the Constitution.
All right, so let me get this straight, Condon. You love the Constitution, but only when it fits your agenda. It's like saying you're a diehard Beatles fan, but only if you can swap out Ringo for Kid Rock. You either believe in it or you don't. And this is what happens when America F's around and we find out we just elected a king. So strap in. This roller coaster ride has just begun, and I'm already ready to puke.
Yeah, well, Nick, try not to puke all over me, or we'll start an old school puke-orama. Or perhaps we'll start a revolution, or at least we'll motivate the Trump resistance, and we all have to stay vigilant. Nick, I know you and I are, but everyone else, seriously, if you've got liberal-leaning friends that have basically checked out of the news cycle because they're over it, I get that, seriously. But now's not the time. So if you're watching this right now, yeah, you are the resistance, and you need to like, comment, share, subscribe, etc. to all of this. Share it far and wide. This isn't a joke. The revolution will not be televised. It's going to be right here online, and we cannot do this alone. Nick and I have tried. Nick was actually supposed to rig the 2024 election like we did in 2020, but he overslept and forgot or something. I don't know. So now it's on all of us to do this the old-fashioned way. So stay active and stay vocal. We're Nick and Steve from the Vocal Minority on Really American Media.